All right, we will call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance done by Ms. Loman.
Recording in progress.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Harding will provide the roll call.
Mr. Burdell-Williams,
Present.
Mr. Cohen,
Present.
Mr. Epps,
Present.
Mr. Fishbein,
Present.
Ms. Haywood,
Present.
Ms. Henry,
Present.
Ms. Lohman,
Present.
Ms. Mulhern, and Mr. Schultz.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, we will have our Cheltenham High School Student Council report.
It's red. Nope. Okay. Okay. My name is Emma Zubeiru. The Cheltenham High School Student Council met on September 20th. I will now read our updates. We had our homecoming dance on September 30th. Our pep rally had to be canceled due to the power surge, but was rescheduled to the 13th. Our back to school night was September 21st. Our last home football game is October 13th, which will also be senior night for the football players, cheerleaders, band members, and color guard. We plan on creating Thanksgiving baskets in November, and we have concluded elections for the speaker position, and our speaker is Hannah Tolley.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Diazio will provide the sunshine announcements.
Yes, thank you. I'm just looking at the date here. The board has met two times, executive session tonight prior to the public meeting. No, there was no executive session tonight. We had one executive session last Thursday, the 5th, for a matter of personnel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diazio. We have the approval of minutes for July 12th, August 8th, and September 12th, 2023.
So moved.
Second. Julie Haywood.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. The motion carries. Dr. Scriven will provide his superintendent's report.
So thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening to our Board of Directors and to our Cheltenham community. And today I will bring forth our superintendent's report. I just want to start by acknowledging that this is October and an opportunity for us to recognize our principals and administrators. We have a couple in the room this evening, so I will give them a special shout out as a result of them being here. So Principal Teller at Wyncote and Principal DeAndrea at Cheltenham High School, we salute you for being here. I would be remiss, yes, this is for principals, but I have to take the opportunity to recognize Cabinet. They're here every day. Our directors who are present, even though not principals, I view them that way because there are coaches and leaders within the district. So I want to acknowledge them as well. And you can see the pictures reflected. we have some outstanding folks. We're truly privileged as they serve our community with great integrity and fidelity. Next slide. We have a lot of recognitions in October. This is for Happy Indigenous People Day. That was yesterday, but I would be remiss not to acknowledge. Next slide. Today is actually World Mental Health Day, and we know the impact of just the mental health of not just our students, but our adults that serve our communities as well. I would definitely lump myself in there as well in terms of just making sure that we are doing self-care and really making sure that we have resources available to meet the needs of our students and also our faculty. Next slide, please. Going back to October 2nd, but that was National Custodian Appreciation Day. And I do want to recognize they're a pivotal part of what keeps our buildings open each and every day, even this room here, in terms of making sure that it's presentable to the public before we have our board meetings. So I always want to recognize those individuals that are working so diligently. At this time, I'm going to just shift a little bit high level to kind of just speak to our work. And when we talk about strategic planning, new initiatives, I've been very strategic, very methodical in terms of making sure that we are not moving too fast. You guys can read it, but it's a short statement. Shifting mindsets and behaviors is the core of any continuous improvement journey. I don't care what the strategy is. I don't care what the initiative is. If we are not of a mindset in terms of being growth oriented, the implementation of an initiative or a new strategy is not going to work. And that's why we have not been trying to do a sprint. We've really been jogging in terms of introducing new systems and structures as part of our continuous improvement. Very simple as we go to the next slide. The work around improvement is really grounded into identifying roadblocks, things that are inhibitors that need to be removed and eliminated. We as educators are problem solvers, and truly our professional learning communities, which is not just at the teacher level, that is throughout our entire district. It's really about those root cause analysis, the comprehensive needs assessments that we do to really identify where are our barriers, where are the gaps as we're looking at the data. And if we align 1 and 2 and have the courage to have those conversations that are not always comfortable, then you will see a direct correlation to the outcomes as it relates to improvement. And that's not just improvement of student outcomes, but that's improvement of our practices. And that starts here within our central office. Next slide. Just giving you really a high-level graphic. Yesterday was professional development throughout the entire district, where faculty and staff had an opportunity to really unpack a lot of their demographic data as it related to their specific schools. They had opportunities to work in small groups. It was well structured in terms of them identifying what are some of the root causes that are getting in our way as it relates to us doing the work around improvement. When you look here and you look at listening and learning and guiding, system alignment, ownership, improvement cycles, hardwiring, this is all part of that Plan, Do, Study, Act continuous improvement process. It's in, or we can make this part of board docs where you can see what each subset really holds. But it's important that we have consensus and ownership. That's the big piece. One thing I'm hearing as we're looking at really a shift in demographics that has happened over years here in Cheltenham. I'm going to be transparent. I hear it all the time about the old Cheltenham and this new Cheltenham. And what does that really mean? I'm not going to sit here and pontificate what my personal opinion is, but there are opinions out there in terms of what Cheltenham once was and what it is today. I marvel when I go back to 2016 and the fact that there was no written curriculum here within our district. Teachers were held accountable for doing their best in terms of providing a quality instructional program. I do want to give kudos to Dr. Smith and her team because we've come light years from where we were then to where we are now with having written curriculum aligned to state standard, which really governs how we go about doing the work. We are currently working within our 7 pillars, and we are trying to be collaborative in this process. I'm not using a push-down model, and that's why we have individuals sitting at the table, all engaged in a robust conversation around identifying our strengths and also our challenges and having a voice in what those action plans should look like in terms of moving forward. So I'm excited about where we are. I know this next Ed Affairs meeting, you guys will be introduced to our MTSS, or our Multi-Student Support Program that Ms. Keene will be presenting. And in November, you'll be hearing from our principals. That will be another opportunity to really take a look at not what they've just done in isolation, but what they have done at the school level with their teams, as they really are the facilitators of this work. And when we talk about hard wiring, and the team are trying to implement systems where we move from best practices in silos, and we're really scaling out to the entire district and making sure that these practices are practices which are sustainable. My hope and goal is long after my tenure is done in this seat, that some of this work will definitely become a continuous structure and a pillar, because it's truly what needs to happen and folks understand the importance. So wanted to kind of give you guys just an overview, high level, of what the PD was about and the process in terms of engaging our entire buildings, teachers, administrators, and others in the process. Next slide. We have a couple national merit scholars. This was on the website, but anytime you have national merit, it's something that I always want to highlight. They did not know they were being highlighted in my report, but we have Kaden, Manhora, and Lydia. I'm not going to try the last names because I really value and respect names, and did not do my due diligence to make sure that I would have the proper enunciation. But these are 3 of our high school students that are phenomenal, and we wish them all the best as being a standard of excellence of what student achievement really looks like. They are exemplary. We always have to showcase, this is Myers and EP. I just think it's fun, but this is PBIS, which is a part of a component of MTSS, and celebrating. So often, you know, it's about the academic portion, but the multiple measures is key. We do not look at a single data point. And when you talk about culture and climate, the way that administrators are going about really setting a strong foundation of expectations in their schoolhouses. These are just 2 examples. You can go at any of our schoolhouses, especially at the elementary levels, and you see it on every bulletin board as soon as you step into the hallways. And I just always want to acknowledge, and I think it's cool. And I'll be highlighting other schools as they have fun activities related. This is new. This is the Superintendent Student Advisory Council. It was open for a little over a month. And as you see, I did not count, but I think it's about 60 students that actually completed the application process and really want to be leaders and have a voice in terms of being change agents in the district. We have a handful of sixth graders, which is fine with me. It's a good group to work with as I get them ready for the middle school. We have about 17 7th and 8th graders at Cedarbrook. And please note that I only did this 6 through 12. And then there's a nice distribution, which I really appreciate. This was not by design, but when you look at the number of students at the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade level, there's a pretty even distribution. I'm excited. They should have all received a letter from me acknowledging them and welcoming them. We are going to push out the schedule, which will start this month in October. More than likely, it is going to be a Thursday rotation where I meet with EP, I'll say the second Thursday, Cedarbrook the third, and the high school on the fourth Thursday of every month. So there will be updates. This will become something which is going to be a permanent part of my superintendent's report moving forward, just memorializing the work that we're going to be doing with students, and believe that the students are the ones that are going to be taking the lead with this initiative. So that brings closure to my official part of my superintendent's report. And now I have an opportunity to kind of pivot briefly. And I do want to read a letter, and I don't want to miss an opportunity. I always take ownership, but I want to make sure there's no representatives here from PSBA, are there? In the audience? Okay, just wanted to make sure and acknowledge. This is an opportunity where we get to recognize a couple of our board of directors that have demonstrated unwavering commitment to the district. And I'm going to read the letter that I received. PSBA's honor roll of school board service programs honors school board directors for long-term service and dedication to their local district and communities. Through the presentation of a certificate, which they will be receiving tonight, we show our appreciation for the commitment and dedication of these public servants year after year. When school directors reach 8 years of service, they are presented with the honor roll certificate, and for every 4 years thereafter. In addition, at 24 years of service, are you going 24? They begin to receive plaques to honor their service at that milestone and every 4 years after that. These are often presented by PSB representatives during the school board meeting of your choice. If a member of the board is eligible for a plaque this year, please contact PSBA. So I own that, and that's really why PSBA is not here, but it gives me the honor as being the superintendent and having worked with these three individuals to recognize them. We have Mr. David Cohen, we have Mr. Joel Fishbein, and we have Mrs. Julie Haywood, who is our longest serving with, correct me, I want to say 12. Is it 13? Am I correct? 12 years, 8 years, and 8 years. This, I just tip my hat to all of them, because this is a thankless job. I just have to say it. They're not, there's no monetary compensation, and the work that they put in, you can't even quantify. It's actually that many hours. They have made my process pretty seamless in terms of the expertise that they bring to the board. and they're very unselfish with their willingness to share. They'll be signing off soon, and I really, each and every one, I'm not going to make the mistake of speaking about you individually. I'm going to keep it collective. The unique skill sets that you bring are truly phenomenal. And I often tease that I still have your numbers and will be reaching out. And I do want to read each of these, or really they say the same, so I'll just read the one. In Governing Board of the Pennsylvania School Boards Association proudly presents a certificate of appreciation to David Cohen, Cheltenham Township School District, a certificate of appreciation to Joel Fishbein, Cheltenham Township School District, a certificate of appreciation to Julie Haywood, Cheltenham Township School District, in recognition of ongoing school board service and the long-term contributions of individuals who bring their energy, talent, and values to the guidance of youth and public education in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So this is our moment to acknowledge and salute you. And before I give these to you, I already know that there's comments that board members would want to make. So I'm not going to make that mistake. I'm going to be quiet for this portion and open it up for public comment from the board.
Well, I will start since everybody's hesitating. Julie, Joel, and David. And I'm going to start with Julie. I met Julie 7 years ago, well, probably 8 years ago now, at an affair, and actually at my house, and she was talking about there being an opening on the school board and that we should consider our service and being a part of such a wonderful institution. I gave it some consideration. I was at an event and just mentioned in passing to someone who was there with me, I said, I'm considering maybe running for the school board. Next thing that happened was that Julie and Senator Haywood were right here in front of me, and we had a great conversation. And 7 years later, I am here and so happy that you came and that you've been such an advocate for the school district. Joel and David, the institutional knowledge. Dr. Scriven and I have had this conversation, like we need to bottle up some stuff. We got to figure it out. As you all are leaving, the breadth of knowledge that you bring, that you've brought to the district, your commitment is unsurpassable. And I would just like to acknowledge that some of our school board hopefuls are here. They have tough shoes to fill. Just want to let you all know. But I really respect and am just honored to have made your acquaintance, to have sat and learned from you all of these years. Thank you for your service.
I didn't quite realize that this was our moment to sign off. I know you'll be here next month as well, but I just wanted to thank you all for the inspiration that I've been, this is my second term, but the amount I learned from all of you and the culture that you have set on this board through board leadership among Joel and Julie, but caring about the children, thinking about equity first, and so navigating a very tough balance of supporting our superintendent while also pushing our superintendent in the right direction. Thank you all for what you've done, and I hope you do stick around at least a little bit and continue to offer counsel. Thanks.
So I have one more meeting, but I just wanted to take an opportunity to say that it's been really a pleasure and an honor to be sitting in the seat. I don't take this responsibility lightly. I think every meeting, there's a lot of information to read, a lot of information to think about, but I do think in every instant, at least for the time that I've been on the board, first and foremost in my mind is, how is this going to really impact the students? it's been a 12-year really great time. Learned a lot. I hope I've grown a lot. I hope I've shared a lot. I hope I've given a lot. I'll be in the community. I may not be in the audience. I may be on Zoom occasionally, but it's been a pleasure to work with everyone who's sitting at this table. Excuse me, the folks that came before you, that I sat at the table with. And yeah, wishing the district really well going forward. So thank you.
Anyone else?
I can't have an opportunity to speak and not speak. The concept of it being a thankless job is something I talk about quite a bit, and I have not found my 8 years of service to have been thankless at all. In this community, I get thanked a lot, and there is a lot of evident appreciation for the work that we do. And contrary to the common belief that it's thankless, I say, when you get thanked, it's not thankless. And it's just been an honor and a privilege to have worked with this group. The district is in the best hands I feel like it's been in a very long time. Financially, it's on the strongest footing that it's been on since I've been on the board and since I've been a member of the community. And I have nothing but the highest of hopes and expectations for what comes next. And thank you all for all of the support that you've given us, and especially my fellow board members who have been in the trenches with me. Thank you all.
And I just want to echo what my colleague said and also thank the current board and past board members and present day and past administrators, and feel that we are on a good path at this point moving forward. Change is oftentimes slower than I want, but we have made progress in various ways. And I'm sure the board going forward will make wise decisions, as will the district moving forward. I look forward to watching mostly from the sidelines. Thank you.
Not only do I hope all of you will, I am not deleting phone numbers out of my phone here, so I know where to reach you. Thank you all so much. Okay, so we're going to stop for a moment and to do the picture.
At this time, I'm going to ask Mr. White, our coordinator for safety and security, to come to the podium, as he's going to be doing a brief presentation on a new initiative, Handle with Care, which is a pilot program that we will be starting in the very near future, to be quite honest. Mr. White?
Hi, Mr. White. Is there any cost associated with the program for the district?
Oh, like she sings, like, it was free for me.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. Are they required to report, or is this an optional reporting? I mean, from the perspective of the police department, are they required to report it once they are in handle with care, or is it optional for the police department? Okay, cool. All right.
It's optional.
Mr. Schultz?
Thank you. This may be a question for the policy committee, but are there policy implications we should consider in terms of the district's handling of a handle with care case? Should we codify the appropriate way that a student should be handled?
Well,
Just to add, I mean, we have wraparound services and resources. It's just a matter of knowing when to make them available for students. So this, to the point which was made, allows us to be proactive rather than reactive wherever possible. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Alexis Kane to the podium. She is here representing Lincoln Investment, and it's always nice when the board is having money donated. That brings a smile to everyone's face. So I don't know if your mic is live or not.
Hello, there we go. Good evening. Thank you. No, it's great. It's a great privilege to be here. I'm Alexis Kane with Lincoln Investment. It is with an honor to partner with the employees and the community members, shepherding them through retirement with their retirement benefits. So in partnership with our foundation, the Forrest Foundation with Lincoln Investment, $5,000 to the Education Foundation. So thank you, if we could get a photo. And no, this is great. Thank you.
Okay, yes, sir. We're gonna we want to join. So come on now. Come on board, Pam, Dan.
Yes, but it's the foundation.
That's the real chair.
We have one more presentation. I know we're a little over, but I'd first like to take this opportunity, and we recognize today we talked about mental health and mental wellness. I'd be remiss if I did not mention, what is going on right now in the Middle East. And as a board, as a superintendent, we're about students. And I want to keep it grounded in students. But I just want families to know that we do have the appropriate supports and resources in place, guidance counselors, where, if any of our families are going through anything traumatic, they always have someone that they can turn to. There is a trusted adult. And I want to leave it at that. I want to leave it high level, but just knowing that the quality of care is always there. We just need to know when we have to administer it. And with that, I want to introduce Rabbi Benjamin P. David. I want to give it all to him. He's a senior rabbi at KI. There's been some time within our district that there has been a focus on the Holocaust, and we're really trying to give recommendations on how we make that more robust. How do we integrate that into our curriculum? And Rabbi is here. Rabbi, I know you have a team, sir, and we have a couple of our retired teachers, even though I see them, they're here as well. You guys should know Andrew Altman, retired, and Lise Marlowe, who's also retired, Lise Marlowe, excuse me. I could tell by the face. And Rabbi, anyone else? This
is my friend and colleague, Rabbi Shai Cherry, from right down the road as well.
Very good. Welcome. Welcome.
So, thank you for having us.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for including us. We are here to address the question of mandatory Holocaust education in the district and the ways in which it might be built into the curriculum going forward. And we come to this very important issue from various vantage points. I come here as a rabbi, but also as a dad. I come here as well as the grandson of 4 Holocaust survivors. And so for me, the Holocaust is not only a historic event, it's not only an intellectual exercise in genocide. For me, this is profoundly personal. And the murder of 6 million Jews precisely because they were Jews is a personal reality to me, and a story that needs to be told and retold, especially at a time when survivors of the Holocaust are leaving us increasingly. It becomes our burden to bear and our story to tell to ensure that future generations know what becomes of unchecked hate and bigotry. We live clearly today at a time when hate is alive and well. As we sit here at this very moment, Israeli children, Jewish children are being murdered in their own homes precisely because they are Jews. The innocent, babies, the elderly are being killed precisely because they have the gall to live a faith that is different. Holocaust education is something that will imbue our kids with a sense of understanding of what it means to live a level of tolerance, tolerance across religion and race and ethnicity, and to teach them that difference is not bad, that there's a beauty in diversity and we can learn from each other in ways that are real. But the Holocaust is not only a universal message, this is a particular message that our kids deserve to know as well, specifically the story of the Jewish people and how across Europe they were nearly eradicated. In Poland, 2 out of every 3 Jews were killed, for instance. So for both very particular reasons and for universal reasons, I and we feel strongly that this would benefit our children and would grant them an understanding of the world that they live in and grow their heart to a heart of greater tolerance and compassion. So I want to hand it over to my colleague to say a word.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rabbi Shai Cherry. I've been the rabbi at AJ for 4 years. Before that, I was a professor at the University of San Diego for 4 years, where I taught the Holocaust. So often when the Holocaust is mentioned, the idea of 6 million Jews dying in Europe, 2 out of every 3 Jews in Europe died, is the focus. There is also an equally important prelude to that mass death, which scholars call social death. And that is particularly important for us to teach our children. I just want to remind people that the Nazis came to power in 1933. The Holocaust did not really begin in terms of the mass extermination of the Jews until 1942. So during that period of 9 years, there was the removal of Jewish civil servants. Any Jews who required government credentials in order to practice their trade was removed by the government. So attorneys lost the right to practice law. Doctors lost the right to practice medicine to anyone other than Jews. Jewish students lost the ability to go to public schools and public universities. There was a slow erosion of civil rights, where we saw a democracy turn into a totalitarian dictatorship. These are signs that we need to teach to our children so that they can recognize when those things are happening to them as well as to other people. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andrew Altman, and I'm a recently retired teacher, as you mentioned, from Elkins Park School, and I'm the president of KI. And so wearing those 2 different hats informs my passion for Holocaust education. And I can tell you that despite Pennsylvania law encouraging Holocaust education in the 6th grade, many students, and Lisa and I both know this, many students go to Cedarbrook with little or zero understanding of the world's largest genocide. And we're here tonight to champion the need for and the benefits of helping our youth gain a deeper understanding of the causes, the horrors, and the impact of the Holocaust. And beyond the obvious, I can say, because I know you're thinking, the content is also easy to include in cross-curricular lesson planning that fits Common Core. It feeds into current events, as well as social emotional learning and building empathy. And we know from experience that there are resources and vocabulary available and appropriate for all ages. But without the leadership from the top, we know that many students are missing out. So thank you, Dr. Scriven, for meeting with us and for encouraging us to come here. Thank you all for listening to us tonight and for your time. And I want to offer, KI sits right here in Cheltenham, as does AJ. And at KI, we have over 600 members, about 1,000 members altogether with both our synagogues, including Holocaust survivors, interfaith families, multi-generational congregants. And so as your neighbors, we want to offer the district our expertise, our resources with curriculum development, staff coaching, personal stories of our clergy and our volunteers. And we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Hi. If you don't know me, I'm Lise Marlowe. I'm a very proud retired Cheltenham teacher. I'm a very proud 1985 Cheltenham alumni. And I'm now the program and outreach director of the Holocaust Awareness Museum, which is in Cheltenham Township, in our backyard here. You may not know that our Holocaust Museum here is America's first Holocaust museum. We started in 1961 in the northeast section of Philadelphia, and then we moved to our Elkins Park location at KI. You may already know how passionate we all are about teaching the Holocaust, how I, for 27 years at Elkins Park School, brought many Holocaust survivors to EP. I was always so appreciative of the Cheltenham community, their encouragement and support, my parent right here, in bringing Holocaust survivors to speak to our students. Parents and teachers understood how important it is to give students the opportunity to learn history through an eyewitness. When I would start a program, I would tell students that they are the last generation to meet a survivor. And once they hear a survivor's story, it becomes their story to tell. It also becomes the responsibility to speak up, stand up to the Holocaust deniers of the world, and to say to others, I know you're lying because I met a survivor. After survivors presented their stories, their message to students was always to not hate others. Even though they lost everything in the Holocaust, hate can only destroy yourself. They also told students that no matter what struggles they go through, that they can overcome anything and still live a happy life. There's hope. I have found that Cheltenham students showed compassion and tolerance for the 27 years that I brought stories to our schools. When I see former students, it's always the first question they ask me. Just a quick story. Years ago, I had a student whose older brother was a neo-Nazi. I didn't change anything about the way I taught him. I didn't treat him any differently. I just did my normal lessons. At the end of the unit, he said to me, Mrs. Marlowe, I promise to never be like my brother. I promise to not be hateful or follow in his footsteps. This was a very emotional moment for me, but it just shows the power of education. I believe education will always be stronger and more powerful than hate, and when you can make a difference in one student's life, it has a ripple effect for future generations. So here's why I'm here. I want to give Cheltenham students an opportunity to be leaders, you mentioned that tonight, in Holocaust education. I want them to be our docents. I want them to be our future interns, to go on trips to other museums, give them a chance to teach other students in other school districts. Be involved in project planning, be active participants in preserving our museum's artifacts. There's so many lessons that we can teach them here. We want them to be our junior ambassadors of our museum, which is in their backyard. We have funding that can support a partnership with our museum and Cheltenham School District. For Cheltenham teachers, we can offer PD days for teacher training. We can offer workshops. We can offer class trips to our museum. It is just a Cheltenham school bus ride. We have lots of free resources as well. And we can offer Holocaust survivor speakers to all our schools, not just EP, Cedarbrook, and the high school. I feel so fortunate to have been a Cheltenham teacher, and I've been in a school district that supported Holocaust education. I know Holocaust education works. I saw it firsthand. It touched thousands of students' hearts, inspired them never to forget the horrors of the Holocaust. I know educators have the power to teach the next generation what we can do, what can happen when we don't stand up to hate, when we don't watch our words, and when we don't help others. I hope that Cheltenham will join our museum's mission to bring these stories of survival and these lessons. I just want to tell you one quick study. We have states that are mandated, right, Holocaust education. We are not one of them. But in those states that do Holocaust mandates, not only did bullying go down in schools for Jewish students, anti-Semitism, but for African Americans, Hispanic, Asian, LGBT, by big numbers, like 25 to 30% for all students that had Holocaust education. So we know there's a lot of power in there. So thank you. Please come visit us soon. I'm happy to give you all a tour. We're just down the street. And just one last thing, Coach Fleury is bringing the whole basketball team to our museum November 7th. So please come. They're coming at 8 o'clock in the morning. So if you would like some bagels and lox, please come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rabbis, David and Lisa. We really appreciate it. And this is your time to exit if you're not going to remain for them.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we are going to move into the public comments portion of the agenda. And so if we have anybody either in the audience or via Zoom or streaming that would like to make a comment or ask a question. If you're in the audience, you can come up to the podium, state your name and where you reside in the district. If you're online, you can email csdboardmeetingcomments@cheltenham.org. I'm not sure who's looking online for us that can tell us if there are any questions out there.
I can check my email. Hold on.
Okay.
There was nothing submitted by email.
Okay. And being that no one in the audience, we will move on to start our committee reports. Our first committee report, Financial Affairs, will be provided by Mr. Schultz.
Thank you. We held our Finance Committee meeting on October 3rd, and following roll call and approval of minutes, we had a discussion about the current balances and financial reports. It's very early in the year, but we are looking to have a strong financial year at this point. The next agenda item was a review of an unaudited but still final report on last year's budget numbers, and it looks like we ended the year with approximately an $8.5 million surplus, largely due to things like increased income revenue from the increased revenues from interest rates being as high as they have been, which continues this year but is a little bit of an abnormality that we can't plan on for the long term, as well as increased property tax due to tax increase. The next item on our agenda was a brief review of the Act 1 index, which is for those who don't know, Act 1 is a number that is calculated by the state and is the cap that school districts can raise taxes. It is not necessarily the tax increase, it's just a maximum guidelines. And it's based on things like salary increases across the state and cost of living increases across the state. The Act 1 index this year is 5.25%, rounded up to 5.3%. And I just want to underscore again, that does not mean that we are looking at a tax increase of that amount, but it is a reflection of the economy that we are facing, and the fact that our district has had such strong financial numbers within that economy, I think, speaks to the efforts of our administration. So I want to take a moment to thank them for that. That was the bulk of our meeting. There's plenty of details. The video is available online, so if you're interested in better understanding last year's budget and the numbers that led to the final balance, please take a look at that video on YouTube. Our next meeting will be November 14th, and I want to stress that because our normal meeting date would be November 7th, but that is Election Day, so please make sure to vote, and do not come to the administration building after your voting because we won't be here. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Ms. Mulhern will provide the Educational Affairs Committee report.
Thank you. The Educational Affairs Committee convened in person and via Zoom on Tuesday, September 19th for our first meeting of the current academic year. We had 2 agenda items, including an overview of committee topics for the year and a review of federal programs. We went over the Educational Affairs agenda for the 2023-2024 school year. This is the second year we've done this, where we all receive the entire planned agenda in advance, and it allows the community, other stakeholders to plan strategically to attend meetings when the topic strikes them, or to follow up after the meeting, knowing what the meeting was about in advance. On each agenda slide, there is a targeted audience. However, this is only a suggestion of what stakeholder group might be interested. Anyone is always welcome to join us or to follow up after the meeting. This document is fluid. It will be changed or added as needed. And next month's meeting will be an overview of our MTSS, which is our multi-tier system of supports. Dr. Scriven mentioned earlier. Ms. Jessica Keene will present on MTSS for us. The second presentation was an overview of the federal programs that some of our schools qualify for. Specifically, Dr. Smith shared the school district's Title I, II, III, and IV funding and plans for Myers, Cheltenham, and Elkins Park schools. Those are the 3 schools that qualify. Title I funds are usually the ones I think we hear the most about, and they are intended to improve academic achievement, reduce achievement gaps, and provide extra support to students who are at risk of falling behind. Title II funding supports professional development and teacher training. Title III funding is designed to help English language learners, and Title IV funding can be used for various purposes, including items related to school safety, well-rounded educational opportunities, and effective uses of technology in education. The presentation was very informative. It had a lot of details, so I encourage you to take a look at it if you want to learn more about federal funding. And the next Educational Affairs Committee will be next week, October 17th at 7 p.m. in a hybrid format, again with a presentation on MTSS. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Mulhern. MCIU report will be provided by Ms. Lohman. No, I skipped. Sorry. Eastern Center for Arts and Technology, Mr. Burdell Williams.
You sure did.
Thank you much. We could have switched. That's fine. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm wearing my Leadership Academy blue and gold tie because to celebrate that the September Student of the Month at the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology and our Joint Operating Committee was Marin Goldfarb, a Cheltenham High School senior, and Glenside Bear, who grew up with my daughter, and Jenny's son as well, is the September Student of the Month at the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology in Willow Grove. Marin was recognized for her outstanding work in Eastern's Design, Photography, and Illustration program. Just as a reminder, the Student of the Month Award is sponsored by Eastern's faculty, the JOC, and the Willow Grove Rotary Club to highlight student excellence, success, and service. Only 10 students each year are selected for this honor. I do want to just read a little bit about Marin. At Eastern, she was selected by her instructor to be the class officer for Skills USA, which is Eastern's student leadership organization, and was chosen to attend the Career and Technical Student Organization Fall Leadership Conference in November 2022. She placed second in the Skills USA state competition for t-shirt design in April 2023. She volunteers her time at many Eastern activities, such as Career Expo, where she spoke and continues to speak with prospective 10th graders at Cheltenham about her Eastern program and assisted her Eastern instructors with classroom setup for Parents' Night presentations. Bless you, Joel. At Eastern's Awards Night in May 2023, Marin received the Straight A Award, the prestigious Director's Award, the Design, Photography, and Illustration Occupational Advisory Committee Service Award, and the Outstanding Junior Sketchbook Award. Also, in May, she was inducted in the Eastern's first National Technical Honor Society. After graduation, she plans to attend the Pennsylvania College of Art and Design in Lancaster for graphic design, and then begin doing freelance graphic design work. Congratulations, Marin. There were some other things that we talked about at the meeting that night. There were a number of approvals in the facilities and educational affairs spaces. One that I do want to highlight is the Joint Operating Committee approved the proposal from Aldersgate to provide on-site counseling services for students this school year. The expenses being covered by the COVID-19 Public Health Workforce Supplemental Funding Grant. In Eastern, they again are pleased to be able to offer that service with the increased focus on the mental health of students on this World Mental Health Day. And also the administration at Eastern has also pledged to evaluate that program for ongoing services for students beyond the 2023-2024 school year. The next meeting of the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology Joint Operating Committee is tomorrow, October 11th at 8 p.m. via Zoom. The link can be found on Eastern's website at eastech.org. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burdell Williams. Ms. Lohman will now provide the MCIU report.
Thank you, Ms. Henry. The Montgomery County Intermediate Unit Board met in person and over Zoom on Wednesday, September 27th, 2023 at the IU's main office in Norristown. Prior to the public portion of the meeting, the board met in executive session to discuss matters related to the purchase of property. The meeting started with a presentation by Jack Hurd, who's the IU's Director of Human Services. He provided an overview of the work of the IU's Office of Human Resources. The MCIU currently has 805 employees, temporary staff, and contractors. This is up from 575 employees in 2018. So in 5 years, the IU has added over 225 employees, more than that. He said that driving factors in this growth include growing the programs overall, an increased demand in services from the districts that the IU serves, and then the IU has slowly been converting contracted agency positions to MCIU employee positions. So they've been growing. Almost 60% of the staff has been hired since 2018 due to growth and turnover. And the IU's retention and recruitment strategies currently are to increase the competitiveness of the compensation that the IU offers, particularly in the early childhood area where pay is always not where it should be. So the IU has been working on trying to improve that. Also, they've increased the use of emergency certification. They've also realigned the organization to allow for greater career paths for employees within the IU to stay there and move up. They've addressed morale and inclusivity, and they've tried to be more flexible in some of their job arrangements. So the IU also does a lot of work with its 22 member school districts, the Human Resource Department. It offers a variety of services and supports, including hosting an annual Montgomery County-wide diversity and education recruitment fair, conducting classification and compensation studies for its member districts, performing desk audits and personnel file audits, and providing recruitment assistance or interim support for administrators, which we as a district have some familiarity with. They also hold monthly meetings for our Montgomery County schools to collaborate on current topics and legal trends in the human resources field. They conduct workshops on best practices, and they initiate partnerships with providers to provide our districts with vendor solutions at reduced pricing. So it's a very busy office, that Office of Human Resources in the IU. Does a lot. The board then approved a variety of contract service agreements, consulting arrangements. I just want to highlight a couple of those. There were several different service agreements that the board approved for a variety of different professional development opportunities for member school districts, including one professional development opportunity on building a common understanding of the instructional practices aligned to phonological awareness in phonics. And then one that would provide another district with professional development on supporting the development of assessment literacy and common understanding of practices to diagnose and prescribe reading instruction within a multi-tiered system of supports framework. So the IU provides a wide range of professional development resources for districts. That's just a sample of the PD that the board approved. Another thing, and this is an example of what Mr. Hurd was talking about in the IU's efforts to retain their employees, is that the board approved a tuition assistance grant agreement with Eastern University to provide IU employees with tuition assistance grants for Masters of Education programs, courses, and certifications. The IU employees will get a 10 to 25% discount on specific programs and single courses taken through Eastern University. The next meeting of the MCIU board will be on Wednesday, November 15th, because of the holiday, at 6:45 p.m. This ends my report.
Thank you, Ms. Lohman. Mr. Burdell Williams will provide the facilities report.
Thank you, Ms. Henry. The October Facilities Committee meeting was held in a hybrid format on Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023. At the meeting, Mr. Holman shared updates regarding ongoing and completed projects across the district. The key topics discussed during the meeting included: first, at the high school, there were 3 topics of interest. Mr. Holman shared an update regarding the temporary power loss on Friday, September 29th, where the high school experienced a temporary power loss due to a tree limb falling on power lines in a hard-to-reach location near the school. As a result, a power surge impacted several 3-phase motors various systems were compromised. The fire department was called out and ensured the school was safe to occupy. Troubleshooting the impact of the motor damage is still in progress. We then heard an update that PICO completed the successful removal and replacement of a leaking transformer. Additionally, PennDOT and the district found consensus air quotes, consensus that the district would landscape and maintain the green space at 309 and Old Mill Road. If any of you run up 309 like I do, you appreciate the fact that that corner is a little bit more clear now. Secondly, we then heard about continuous improvements at the Elkins Park School that included removal of dead trees, trimming of all potential hazardous limbs, and grinding of tree stumps on the property. District-wide, there have been signs posted at various locations or various points in the district to help highlight specific policies related to public access. Mr. Holman then shared a brief update about research and engagement from advocates around how to help move the district to a more sustainable school community. As a reference, the School District of Philadelphia and Cheltenham Township have completed versions of sustainability plans in the past, and there is an opportunity there for resource sharing. Lastly, Mr. Holman shared a preliminary review of planned district preventative maintenance that will be included in an upcoming capital plan. The facilities condition assessment report that was previously completed with the help of Bureau Veritas is being used as the basis to prioritize these projects. This plan is focused on cyclical preventative maintenance needed to ensure our spaces are in their best operating condition and is not the same as the long-term facilities capital plan intended to address replacement and or upgrade of aging facilities. The full presentation can be found on the district's website at cheltenham.com/presentations, and next month's meeting will be held in a hybrid format on Tuesday, November 14th, 2023 at 7 p.m. following the agenda bill session and prior to finance. And that completes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Burdell Williams. Mr. Cohen will provide a liaison update.
Yes, thank you. The liaison group has not met since our last board meeting. The next meeting is scheduled by Zoom on October 16th at 8 a.m. That completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Mr. Epps will provide the policy committee update.
Good evening, thank you. With the new format, the policy committee did not convene last month. We will convene on October 24th this month. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Epps. Mr. Epps, you're up again with legislative.
Yes, and good evening again, directors, administrators, members of the community. As a representative of the will be continued Montgomery County School Board Legislative Committee, we convene regularly to discuss proposed and adopted legislation and issues regarding advocacy with our elected officials. So during each legislative meeting, I share federal and state legislative updates on topics that impact public education. So the next meeting I mentioned will be continued. A nod to Miss Tina Valetto as we're recognizing service. I should have got that number since the last meeting, but I know she at least was on the board for about 12 years as well. So I know she had a couple certificates her way. But the committee will continue with through the MCIU, and we'll meet on October 25th later this month. On August the 3rd, we've heard various updates, but on August the 3rd, the state budget impasse ended as Governor Shapiro and the legislator signed into effect the $45.5 billion budget. And so that goes into law. However, there is fiscal codes that have not been agreed upon. That totals about $1 billion, a little over $1 billion of that budget cannot be, is being held. And so about, I know there's a lot of numbers, but about $385 million of that $1 billion pertains to education. So quite a sizable amount of that $1 billion would go towards things like Level Up funding, mental health grants, which we heard about a little earlier today, teacher stipends, which was a incentive built in to encourage folks to become teachers, school safety and maintenance grants. Those are the types of funding that is on hold until the legislator and governor until the legislator actually passes the fiscal code related to these matters. So at this time, it's not expected that those issues will be resolved this calendar year. And so as we do have, again, another nod to our administration, we do have a plan in place and the services that you heard about are not in question. What is in place today, a lot of the budget that provides for our funding has been approved and is moving forward. And so with that, I'll move forward. There are a few bills that are under consideration that impact our community and the state of education. One of those pieces of legislation was Act 1, which you heard about a little earlier from our Finance Committee, but that is an actual action from the legislator that we are informed about every year. One bill to mention is House Bill 1408. That bill jumpstarts PlanCon 2.0. And so many of you on the board were around back in 2019 when the General Assembly enacted PlanCon 2.0, which is a way of funding school construction projects and maintenance and repair projects. Unfortunately, school districts were not able to apply for those funds even to this day. And so this bill has been approved by the House. It will move forward. It has moved forward to the Senate in their Education Committee, and it would open up the application process for school districts to apply, and it would also really fund school maintenance grant programs, which is already a part of the law but hasn't been funded. And so it would open up applications to PlanCon, and it would also ensure that schools have funding available for maintenance and repair projects. So that's something that we want to track. We just heard from our facilities committee, our capital plan is coming up. We've heard we have a feasibility study that is ending, and so state funding related to construction and repairs is something that we certainly want to monitor as it is updated. And so that bill, as I mentioned, is under consideration. It's not a law yet, and so members of the Cheltenham community is encouraged to learn more. There's more information online and engage our elected officials. Both of our elected officials here at the state level serve on the education and appropriation committees, and so they are folks who are just as in tune as you can be to what's being, the discussions that are being had and proposed and possibly decisions that are made related to our funding and our education system. With that, I have one final update related to school funding. The Basic Education Funding Commission, which is a 15-member group made up of different members of each legislative caucus and members of the governor's administration. We heard from State Representative Nelson last month of hearings that the Basic Education Funding Commission is holding. Over the last month or so, they've held hearings throughout the state to hear testimonies from superintendents, students, community advocacy groups about what they should recommend. Ultimately, they will put forth recommendations about how to reform the school formula per the court order that happened earlier this year. And so they are wrapping up those hearings this week. Actually, there's 3 more scheduled for the rest of this week. And then we will really be looking to, now I don't know if this will be this calendar year either, but we'll be looking to really the recommendations that they put forward for, again, what the court order said was that the state is not adequately providing funding for schools throughout the Commonwealth, and so the legislator must provide an adequate funding formula and system to do that. And so those public meetings have been shared online for folks who are interested. You can go to the Basic Education Funding Commission's website. There was one in Philadelphia, there was one in Allentown, Lancaster, and they're over in the eastern part of the state to conclude the listening tour, if you will. So that concludes my report for tonight. As mentioned, the committee will reconvene a little later this month, and I'll report out at our next committee.
Thank you, Mr. Epps. Ms. Lohman?
Ms. Henry, may I just tack one thing on to that mention of the Basic Education Funding Committee's work? Thank you. There is a website that the Basic Education Funding Committee maintains, which has a form, a very simple form that anyone can fill out about their feelings about how school funding impacts their school district, what needs to be added, what needs to be changed, all of those kinds of things. So if you have a few minutes, I recommend going on there and just, providing your input, because they are gathering that from around the state. Sorry. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, because there was also a lot of sentiments. These hearings were not, public comments were not allowed at the hearings. So they were scheduled and invited to participate. So thank you for sharing that. Members of the public, there are options to share your voice.
And Jenny, where is that located on the?
It's their way. If you Google Pennsylvania Basic Education
okay.
Funding Commission,
Okay,
it'll come up. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, thank you. All right, well, next we'll move on to the approval of our agenda items. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Zachary Epps.
Second, Joel Fishbein.
I'd like to open it up to comments from the board. Seeing none. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. I'm an aye, the motion carries. Where am I at here? All right, next we will move on to our public comments for non-agenda items. If anyone in our audience has a comment or question, feel free to approach the podium, state your name and where you reside in the district. For those who are not attending or who are attending virtually, you can utilize the CSD board comments at cheltenham.org to post your comment. And seeing none comments, there was no public prior questions. Our next upcoming meetings are listed as above, is listed on the agenda. The November meetings will be posted on our website. Facilities and Financial Affairs will be on November 14th. That's being moved a week due to the election. The legislative meeting will follow on November 21st. The Ed Affairs meeting will be on November 28th. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The meeting is adjourned.